阅读、科技、旅行，生活可以很大。对话设计学习，思考不嫌太多。这里是 iTunes 获奖播客《狗熊有话说》，一听就停不下来的哦。Hello， 你好，这里是独立知识型脱口秀《狗熊有话说》Bear Talk， 我是大狗熊。在前几个周末的一次周六，我组织了一场在线的英文 workshop， 主题叫做 Ikigai How to Find and Do the Work You Love。 那么这个 workshop 对我来说是一次走出舒适圈的试验，因为它是我第一次使用全英文的方式来组织在线的 workshop。 参加的除了有2/3的华人之外呢，还有另外1/3来自于澳洲、加拿大其他国家的各个不同语种的人们，那么大家都采用英文来进行交流。为什么会举办这样的一次 workshop 呢？基本的初心或者说我的出发点在于，对于设计师来说，可能很多人对设计师的理解和认知呢都是躲在电脑屏幕后面做一些感觉很漂亮的东西，然后呢拿出去给客户或者是给自己的经理去看 OK 了，觉得这个方案很不错，然后过了，那么就进入到下一步，设计师的工作就结束了。其实我在国外做用户体验设计 UX 设计的时候的感受呢，和这样的一个流程差别还是挺大的。那么作为设计师，有很大的一个工作呢，是需要去观察和交流，与真实的用户进行沟通和互动，与你的客户去沟通，了解具体的需求，了解用户的需求。而很多时候呢，客户的理解与用户的理解是有差异的。那么这个过程呢，需要大量的沟通和交流。那么在之后呢，也通过一些方式去呈现自己的这个思考。之后啊，其实还有一个很重要的步骤，就是能够说服你的团队，能够说服这个方案是最优化的，经过深思熟虑考虑了各种可能性的方案。因为在现代的这个设计领域呢，一个设计师起到的单一的作用其实很微弱的，那么你需要能够有一个能够和你配合的团队，你做出来的设计要有产品经理认可，要有项目经理来推动，还要有具体的开发者将他们做成实实际际的产品可以去发布的。所以这个过程呢，需要大量的与内部团队的沟通。所以在设计师真实的这个工作场景里面呢， workshop 是一个不可绕过的一个环节。那么组织 workshop 能够发现问题、解决问题，这种能力呢，是一个普通设计师和一个资深设计师的一个关键的区别。这也是为什么我打算磨练自己的这个 workshop 组织能力的一个原因。那么 workshop 这个翻译我还没有找到一个很标准的翻译可以翻译为训练营、研讨会或者是工作坊都可以。那么简单来说呢，就是一群人在一起，通过练习、交流、互动呢，来解决一些很实际的问题。那么我发起这一次网络的 workshop 的目的其实就是有几个：第一，锻炼我自己的能力；第二呢，找一个很多人都有共鸣的话题，能够解决大家的一些实际的问题。那么这一次我的在线的第一次 workshop 呢，选择了这样的一个话题，就是如何找到和从事自己喜欢的工作，就是能够找到一个你又喜欢、你又擅长、又能赚钱，这个世界又需要的这样的一份工作，如何去下手？那么这就引申出来一个概念，叫做 Ikigai。Ikigai 这个概念呢，是日本的一种生活方式，可以这么说，它就是如何教我们变得更长寿的一种方式。用中国的话说就是养生。当然在这里如果是讨论养生的话，那么这个 workshop 就非常的适合老年人来听了，对吧？我在前段时间阅读了 Ikigai 这本书，那么其中有一个话题特别打动我，就是 作者有说啊，在日本呢有很多70-80岁的老年人，他们生活的很健康很快乐，其中有一个现象就是他们每天早上呢还是会早早的爬起来去工作。那么他们工作在这个年龄啊，已经不再是为了钱了，那么他们工作的目的呢是为了找到自己生活的意义、生命的意义、存在的意义。那么 Ikigai 这个日本的词呢，其实来自日语的词呢，意思就是生命的意义 ，the meaning of being。那么 Ikigai 它有一个练习，就是通过回答4个问题：你擅长什么？你热爱什么？你通过什么方式赚到钱？还有这个世界需要什么？回答完这4个问题之后，每个人回答这些问题都会有长长的一串哈，至少会有超过1个的一些选项。那么当你回答完这4个问题之后，把4个问题的所有回答呢交织在一起，用我们的这个人类最擅长的这个连接这些问题的能力，就可以找到一些共同的选项，能够囊括你这些问题的最优化的这个选择。那么这就是你的 Ikigai。举个例子啊，比如说我擅长聆听，擅长说服，那么擅长啰嗦啊，这些是我擅长的事情。那么我擅长观察别人，我擅长这个发现一些别人情感上的一些细节。那么这些是我擅长的。然后我喜欢什么呢？我喜欢阅读，我喜欢分享，我喜欢教一些别人不知道的东西给别人听。那么我还喜欢这个写作，我还喜欢创作一些内容，还喜欢很多东西啊，比如说喜欢做饭喜欢这个看电影等等，这些都是我喜欢的东西这个喜欢的东西可以列出很长的一串。那么我在做什么呢？我在做什么可以赚到钱呢？我在做这个UX designer 用户体验设计师、产品设计师数字设计师，这个是我赚到钱的方式。那么以前我做过老师，这也是赚到钱的方式。那么比如说我如果做了很多这种内容输出的话呢，可以通过生产内容赚到一些钱，那么可以作为这个 content creator， 这也是我赚钱的方式。OK， 那么这个世界需要什么呢？这个世界需要在现在这个新冠病情之后的这个时代，它需要更多更灵活的方式，更多线上的方式，更多非接触的方式。那么这个世界还需要科技，更多的科技来改变我们的生活。这是我可以看得到的一些世界的趋势那么还需要一些健康的生活方式，更需要一些平衡的生活方式，不需要朝九晚五固定化的工作。这些细节加在一起呢，其实慢慢就可以得出我的Ikigai可能不止一项，会有那么一些。比如说通过网络的方式分享我从事设计、从事这个个人成长相关经历的这些内容，那么能够赚取收入。这个也许是我一个长期的一个目标，成为一个不受时空限制的数字游民，通过输出自己的知识见解来赚取收入。OK， 当然还可以很具体了，其实我还有一些很具体的 Ikigai， 这里就不多说了。那么这个就是 Ikigai 的练习，我在这个 workshop 做的就是这样的一件事，将大家集中在一起做了一次这个分享。那么接下来你要收听到的语音呢，其中很长的一段就是这一次现场的练习的实时录音。那么很受限的是，因为条件的限制，我没有录制现场的有其他参与成员互动的这个语音，我只收录了我自己的这个声音，所以大家听起来可能会觉得有点奇怪，感觉有点跳跃，有些地方被剪切了。但如果你有耐心的话，可以将它听完，能够了解到整个这个 Ikigai 的概念和这个 workshop 回答了一些什么问题。如果你刚好参加了这次 workshop 的话，那么也可以通过回听这次语音呢，能够获得更多的这个 收获。那么另外呢，我在放这段语音之前呢，会先给大家放一段前段时间我同时也做了一个6分多钟的YouTube 视频，那么也是以英文的方式来制作的，那么是关于这个 Ikigai 这个概念的一个基本的一个简介。那么如果你听完这段语音呢，应该也对 Ikigai 有一个基本的概念。不想再继续听下去workshop 的录音的话也没关系，就是听完下一段这个6分多钟的一段英文语音的话，那么你也可以知道 Ikigai， 而且也可以自己开始做自己的 Ikigai 练习了。OK， 那么这就是今天后面的节目的一个简介，希望你会喜欢。如果你觉得这期节目还不错，那么记得在我的社交媒体找到我和我留言新浪微博大狗熊，或者是微信公众号狗熊有话说搜索狗熊有话说就可以了。那么也可以去我的网站订阅邮件 beartalking.com 去订阅我的邮件，那么可以每周收到一些关于设计、个人成长和阅读方面的见解。好的，谢谢你的互动。当然如果你也会去看 YouTube 的话，记得在 YouTube 关注我的 YouTube 频道Bear Talk。 好的，这里是大狗熊，谢谢你的收听，我们下期再见，拜拜。
Hello guys, this is Bear Talk. A couple of weeks ago, I did an online event about sharing my personal strategy for career transitioning. As a new immigrant to a new country, I do have some tips and tricks to share about the strategies for career path. And one of the most frequently asked questions after the session is, "Hey Bear, thanks for sharing, that's awesome, but the major problem for me at this stage is I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't like my current job, and I don't know what I want to do. How can I find it out?" I had the same question, and I was lucky enough to find my answer, or at least I thought I found the answer. But as the things are changing so fast, you might need new answer as the question is already changed. It feels like if a HR person asked you 5 years ago, like, "Hey, where can you see yourself in 5 years?" How could you know that you were wearing pajama for more than a month and work from home, and all your colleagues are doing that, the same thing? So yeah, things need to be changed. So let me ask the question again. Are you doing the job you love, you are good at, and you can make money from it, and also the world needs it? A couple months ago, I read this little book, Ikigai. Basically, the book is about a Japanese lifestyle of how to living a happier and longer life. After reading the whole book, one thing touched me. The author told us a lot of Japanese elders in their 70 or 80 still wake up early in the morning and go to work, not for money, but for the meaning of life. Yes, Ikigai here means the meaning of being. It's something can pull you out of the bed in the morning and pump you up to go to work for the rest of your day. An Ikigai exercise is all about 4 questions. What are you good at? What do you love? What can you be paid for? And what the world needs. After answering all these 4 questions, we as a human being can use our magic brain to connect the dots and find the things that combine all these questions together. That's your Ikigai. Things you are good at are not about the skills you are using during work. It's more about your gift. You can recall your childhood as an 8 or 7 years old boy or girl. What could you do better than other kids? List those things down. Things you love are the things you would do even don't get paid for doing it, such as play football, watch movies, and so on. Write those things down too. What can you be paid for? This one is about what can you do to get paid now or in the future. For example, I can be paid as a digital designer. Things like that. Write them down. What the world needs. This is a question we don't consider often from an individual perspective, but it might be the most important question of all. For example, the world before COVID-19 needs set hours and location when working, but the new need is the flexibility. After you have all the lists, you can try to connect the dots from these lists. Let's take Alice as an imaginary friend of mine, for example. Alice is good at writing, convincing people, and sports. She loves nature, outdoors activities, and travel. She gets paid as a digital marketing specialist. As the world in post-COVID-19 needs flexibility, caring about environment, healthy lifestyle, her Ikigai could be an advocate for a globally outdoors brand by blogging about her travel and outdoors experience and story. She can also use her digital marketing skill to be a better blogger. By doing that, she can do and make money from the things she loves, use the skills she's good at, and create value for other people and the world. How great is that? That's the gist of Ikigai concept and practice. If you don't have the answer for the question I asked you at the beginning, just grab some pen and paper and find the time you won't be interrupted by other people and try to write all the answers down. After you finish that, when you find your Ikigai in the middle of all the circles, your career or your dream job will appear, and the path to that dream job will appear soon. Believe me. Thanks for watching. I hope you're enjoying it. If you do, please hit the subscribe button. I'm Bear. This is Bear Talk, a YouTube channel sharing about tips and tricks about design, productivity, and other cool things to become a better self. I hope we can see each other soon in the next video. Ciao. Cool, guys. So thank you very much for joining this online workshop to discuss how to find and do the work you love. I'm your host and workshop facilitator, Bear. Yeah, so I know 90 minutes for this whole session is such a long time. And thank you again for your commitment. And I guarantee it will be fun and it will be, I hope there will be outcomes, not just output after this workshop. We can actually find something, not just listen to a speech or just listen to some stories. I really hope that you guys can really do some practice. Actually, there will be 8 practice in this short session, so I will try to get the most use of it. All right, so first of all, this online workshop will be using English for the whole sessions, including brief Q&A and practice. I know many of you guys, probably the same as me, are not English native speakers, right?
if you are not speaking English as a native speaking language, could you give a sign, like raise your hand? Cool. Yeah. So you are not alone. Okay. So no worries. Cause me, I'm also not an English native speaker, which means there will be a lot of mistakes, and probably I will use some really simple vocabulary language, and I will speak as slow as possible to make it easy to understand for you guys. Also, hope if you are a native English speaker or not a native English speaker, that's totally fine. Just be patient and also keep interact with the whole session, because there will be some practices. Right. So for those who don't know me, I'm Bear. Yeah, a funny name, right? So I'm a UX and UI designer who lives and work in Auckland, New Zealand. I've doing design for more than a decade, around 15 years. So design, technology, and people, those are my enthusiastic triangle. And I love sharing insights and things I've learned via writing, making video, and podcasting. So some of you might know that I host a podcast, Bear Talk, for almost 8 years with more than 300 episodes. And I also wrote a book about technology a few years ago, and starting to host a YouTube channel. So this is like a new territory for me. So on these channels, I share design, personal improvement, book reviews, productivity tips, and things like that. So third, this event, so this workshop, there will be some practices. So I hope you guys received the email before the workshop. If you didn't, that's totally fine, because I will share an online link on the chat box, so which you can, if you're using laptop or computer to join this workshop, you can log in as a guest on that online file and start to do some practice. If you're using mobile or or tablet, that's totally fine. Just grab some paper and pen. Yeah, that should be enough for the whole session. Right. Is there any question? Are there any questions? Cool. All good? Yeah, cool. That's let's get going. So I'm probably gonna share my screen, and because we're going to walk through the agenda and some slides from my end. Right? Can you see my screen? Can you guys see my screen? Okay. Oh, right. All good. Yeah. So this workshop, it's got a funny name. Ikigai Workshop. Ikigai is a Japanese word. Actually, we're going to explain that later. But the major reason for this workshop is to find how to find and do the work you love, and also you can make money for it, because that's also the critical thing. So why I started this workshop, it's starting from a story, but I will just walk through the agenda so everyone knows what will be the next step. Okay. So after this, I'm going to share the story why I host this workshop, and then I will do a first practice, like why are you here? Like what's the reason you joined this workshop? Just write it down by yourself or just share it with the chat box on chat. And also we're going to continue with other 4 questions. So the first one, what are you good at? I will explain them one by one later, so no worries at this stage. And what you love, what you can be paid for, and what the world needs. So these critical questions can help us dig a little deeper about ourselves, about what the things we have passion and what the things we are good at, and how can we make money for these things, and also according to the current trends, like what's the next step in the future, what the world needs, and what will be the high demand things, so which we can find opportunities. And then we're going to do the Ikigai mapping practice, which will be the magic happens, like we can connect the dots, all the dots from each part, and finally we can create your roadmap of finding and doing the job you love. Right. And at last, we're going to recap it and do some Q&A session. So probably that's the whole workflow, the whole flow for this this sharing. And this is who I am, because I already introduced myself. Just quick, just skip this slide. So as you know, my name, Bear, and I'm a UX and UI designer, and also as a workshop facilitator and podcast YouTuber. So this kind of my label. And one of the reasons I started this workshop is to practice my online workshop skills. So this is one of the reasons. Right. So I would just go to the next slide. Right. So why starting this workshop? Actually, it was a couple of weeks ago, and a life coach in Auckland invited me to do an online event about the strategies and plans of career transition in post-COVID-19, because this is quite a popular topic. Like everyone almost a lot of people have this issue, like there will be some career transition because of the impact of COVID-19. Actually, this life coach, she's also here too. Hi, Chao. Can you are you also there? Right, I can see your face. Hi, hello. Yeah. Chao, the ICF registered career coach and a mindful teacher. She's awesome. Yeah. But now I just focus on my slide. Right. So I shared my story of being jobless last year for 5 months, and then finally landed my ideal job without local working experience, without academical background, and also not as good as local Kiwis in communication and So how did I do that? I just share the stories. And one of the most frequently asked question on that session is like, hey, Bill, your strategies are great. I really learned a lot, and I believe I can also land my job if I follow this strategy. But the major problem for me at this stage is, what will my career look like? I don't know what I want to do. So a lot of people ask this question. So I don't know what I want to do. So this is like a typical case, right? I will start sharing my screen because I want to see you guys more. Okay, I want to see you guys clearly on the big screen. Right. Yeah. So I mean, this is a typical case, especially when we were a student at school. Maybe some of you guys are still at school as a student or not. And normally at school, teachers teach the skills, knowledge, but they don't teach us how to find the right career path, because everyone is different from each other. But the current, like the standard system in education system, like no matter which country it is, in university, in college, it's quite standard. so everyone follow the same pattern. And some of the teacher, they don't know how to give those types of advice because they are far away from the real competitive world. Like they will be in the school, at school or in the college for such a long time. They lost the connection with the real competitive world. And believe me, because I've been a university teacher for a few years, I know that. And the second is that to design your career is case by case, like what I mentioned. No one is the same, and no one can make the decision for you. So you have to take the ownership to make your own decision about what your career will be. And another typical case during this stage is you already been there at school, in college, and also learn something, and then you follow your parents' advice or the teacher's advice, and also got your first job and worked a couple of years. And to be honest, probably in the very deep of your heart, you don't have the passion about this job. Maybe you are not master it like in the skills level, or maybe you just don't have a real connection from your passion and what the things you're doing. And also something might be happen. Like you might need to choose your career path again. Maybe there are some market is changing, so your company is going to restructure, or some competitors rise, and your company just need to do some strategy restructure. So it could be there could be impact on you. And also like current stage during the COVID-19 impact, it happens everywhere all over the world, and probably it's gonna happen longer than we expected. Yeah. So at this stage, you might feel, right, I might need to jump. It's not about I might need to jump to another company. Like, for example, you are a cook here at this restaurant, and this restaurant is going down, and then okay, I jump to another restaurant. But if like the whole environment is not good to keep the stable salary as a cook, probably you'll think I might need to jump to another career path. But what it is, so after a few years graduated, you might need to choose that again, and it could be happen also quite often in the current world. So that could be a pain point for a lot of people. So also that could be a pain point for me. And luckily, before I started, can I just ask, does anyone have this type of problem? Like the two things I mentioned? If you're at school, like you don't know what the career path because no one told you and no one tell you, right? And if you're graduated for a couple of years and you find, right, I don't know what's the next step. I might need to change my career, but I don't know what I'm going to do. Do you have some questions like this? If you do, give me some sign, or feel free to type on the chat box, right? Okay, I see some guy waving hands, which means probably you have this types of problem, of question. And I mentioned that luckily I also I know that I have the same problem, because if I share my whole story, my whole career story to you, you'll see there are a lot of jumps from applied science student to graphic designer to marketing guy to blogger and to web designer and then UX designer, there are a lot of jumps. And I do have this type of questions before, and I did some research and also use some methodology to analyze about my weakness and about my strengths. And also that's something I'm doing like regularly. A few years after 1 or 2 years, I will check that, what the things I'm good at, what the things I love to do, things like that. And luckily, a few months ago, I read this book, Ikigai. So the concept Ikigai in that little book is a great tool to help us map out what our passion is, and also what the professional path we would like to do, and what's the trends of the world. They can connect all the dots together. So I did my personal Ikigai map a few months ago, actually before New Year. And then I did the second one just around February, because you guys know that during that time, COVID-19 just happened, like smashed China at that period. And then, the rest of the world was just also, got the trouble. So I did my second Ikigai map, and more like the update version, and then get clear about what's the next step I want to do and what's the career path. So which means that I find this really helpful. So that's could be a good tool that we can share to find out what's the career you would like to be. So that's the major reason I started to do this online free workshop, because I want to share and want to help to solve the problem. As a designer, that's always the major reason we're working. And like mentioned, I would like to upskill my workshop facilitation skill. That's the background, right? Okay, so let's jump to the first practice, and I'm going to share my screen again. So this time I need you guys to grab a piece of paper, and just paper and pen would be fine. And I also will going to share the slides on the double chat. All right. 1 minute. I'll just quickly. Seems it's not working. All right, never mind. So if you can see my screen, I will scroll to the next one, the first one. So why are you here? So this one is a very interesting question, but I think we can always be clear about the purpose. So if you can access to the link I just posted on the chat, so you can also log in that online website, and you can grab a sticky note on the left and started to write down the reasons you are registered in this workshop. But I think probably that could be a little bit tricky. So I just want you to grab a piece of paper and started to write the reason you registered this workshop. So just ask yourself. That could be the first practice. Let's take 1 minute. All right. Let's take 1 minute to do that. Is that okay? Does that make sense? All good? Good. All right. So I just started to time. Take 1 minute timer. Oh, that's too slow. I'll use my mobile as a timer. Okay, starting now. What's the reason you are here? And feel free to type in the chat box if you like. Yeah, that's right. That's also good. Okay, got 10 seconds. All right, time up. So, is there anyone who would like to share, like why you are here? I need 1 or 2 volunteers who's brave enough to take the first interaction. Why are you here? what is the reason you registered this workshop? Yeah, that will be awesome. Thanks. Hi, Chow. Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks. So, open to the opportunity to grow. That's a growth mindset. Really great. Yeah, cool. Are there anyone who'd like? Yeah, sure. Cool. Sorry, I can't see the screen name on my end. So, what's the name? Sorry, I didn't see your name. Charlotte. Great. Hi, Charlotte. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, skill set. So probably you mentioned your skill set could be quite specific about like a special subject. It's not. Is this what you mean, that you would like to see more possibility to applying to different field? Is that what you're saying? Right. Yeah. Cool. Thanks. That's really great. Are there anyone who'd like to share? Yeah. Loud and clear. Hi, Johnny. Wow. Yeah. Right. Cool. Right. Yeah. That's awesome, Johnny. I think, yeah, that's great. That's a great sharing, because I think your question is not alone. Like a lot of people, especially even in this event, a lot of people have the similar question as a new immigrant to a new country, and the career just there are a lot of challenge to continue the previous career, and because like the environment, all the things are changed, and also it's like you're offered an opportunity to restart again. So this could be something huge, like which means like in the middle of our age, even we are like everyone's still young, right? But what I'm saying is like in the after you work for a couple of years, you have the opportunity to select again. So this could be something really overwhelming. And and also you mentioned things you love cannot make any money. Let's see, is there any connection? Yeah, we can find during this workshop. That's great. So let's move on to the next one, because that's, I think, at this first practice, probably you guys already find out it could be good to write it down, right? If you can really write down what you are thinking, it can force you to make a clear understand of your problem is. And so let's jump to another one. So, and before we start the whole practice, because there are a lot of them waiting for you guys in the next 40 minutes. So let's just take a quickly introduction about this concept, because the name of this workshop, Ikigai, what's the meaning of it? Actually, a couple of weeks ago, I read a couple months ago, I read this book, Ikigai. So it's basically a book talked about the typical Japanese lifestyle, which is quite easy to understand if you are living in Asian countries, because they are more like a holistic way to keep your health, both mentally and physically, and also sorry guys, yeah, it's been a technology issue. Sorry guys, I just logged in with my lab with my yeah, it's all good. Yeah, it's so nice to back to the earth, right? Yeah. Is that right? Okay, probably I will rotate it, yeah, as like this, because that will be good. I can, yeah, let's forget about slides, so we don't need that technology things slides, or we can just use this as long as we can keep hear each other, that's totally fine. So yeah, let's wow, that's awesome. Thank you guys for saving me. Yeah, that's great. And Yeah, so all good. Thanks, and thanks for not quitting. So the rest of the workshop, that's yeah, things could happen like this. So, but we can always, if we want to do something right, yeah, we can always find a solution, right? So, like right now, we don't need any slides. I just yeah, use the low technology solution at this stage, right? So let's back to the track. So Ikigai, it's a fancy Japanese concept, and the original meaning of this concept is about longevity, lifestyle, and in that book, it's described. The book described some principles or some ways that you can live a longer and happier life, like eating less, sleep more, like 7 to 9 hours, play with pets, with your kids, and stay close to the community. Yeah, things like that. But one thing that really touched me in this book, the author told us that many Japanese elders in their 70 or in their 80, even in their 90, still wake up early and go to work. So not for money. Normally what they are doing is not focus on money, but for the meaning of life, for the meaning of being. So Ikigai means the meaning of being. It's also one of the reasons that we can live long. And if you can find your Ikigai, it means that in the morning you can feel pumped up and just wake up, go to do the things you love. So this sounds really great, right? So it's like typically if you're good at something, if you love doing something, and if the rest of the people have the need for these things, and that will be awesome, right? So you're doing the things you love, and you can also make money for it. But how can we find it? How can we just find your Ikigai? I have to be honest to you guys. I thought I find my Ikigai, but actually I still need to do more research or to make it to clarify it. So, because now there are too many things that changed, and we are on the same page. I probably just move 1 or 2 steps ahead of you, so we can do this together. So let's jump to the first question. At this stage, I don't need to show you the Ikigai graph, but we just focus on the first question. So what are you good at? And this question is not about the skills. So please forget your skills, especially forget the skills you learned from the college or from your work. And it's more about your gift, like the things you are good at than other kids when you are young. Let me take a quick example. Like, for example, Steve Jobs, okay, the founder of Apple. So when he was very young, he was really good at negotiation. She can always get a good bargain from other kids or from the groceries or from other stores. So he can always get the best price. He's doing this much better than other kids. And the other founder of Apple, Steve Wozniak, so he's very good at technology. He's very, very good at all the coding and all the hardware of computers, so things like that. But he's terrible at people. So yeah, they are just like 2 different sides. Both of them are named Steve, but they're quite different. So this is the things, what the things you are good at. And I would like to grab a piece of paper like this or a notepad. Yeah, that's right. Just some paper and then you can start to write the things you are good at. And one tip for this practice is to try to recall your childhood. I mean, when you are like 7 or 8 years old. At that period, what could you do better than other kids? So yeah, that's the first practice. Let's take 3 minutes. Okay, let's take 3 minutes to do this practice together. Okay, starting now. Just take 3 minutes timing. Oh, thank you, Chow, for reminding us. Right, the things we are good at could be try to be more open, like as open as possible, and like what we are going to talk, the things could make money. So at this stage, could not we can just go further rather than your skill set or other things. Like you are really good at people, for example, or you are really good at cook, you are really good at sports. Yeah, I know some people just natural as a natural born athlete. Some people I really admire and envy them. Yeah, so things like that, something you are really good at. Right, we have 20 seconds. Right, time is up. So, is there anyone who would like to share what you are good at? You don't need to name them all, but maybe a few if you like to. Any volunteers? Cool. Hi. That's great. So you are good at making artifacts? Improvise. Okay, improvise. That's great. Cool. Awesome. Is there anyone who would like to share? Sure. Welcome. Yep. Oh, that's so good. Cool. Yeah, that sounds great, because I think what you mentioned is these things you are good at could be directly related to your career as in some point, but we can discuss that later. So Joe, right? Your name is Joe. That the first you can when some people need help, you can stand out, and you are willing to stand out to take the leadership, like, and also you can find people's highlights and encourage them. Yeah, is what you want to say? Yeah, that's great. Cool. Right. Is there anyone? We can have one. Okay. Yeah. Hi. Yeah. Yep. That's great, Yahweh. So people person and detail orientative, like you pay attention on details and get all the things, get all the work organized, and caring about people. So these are the things you're good at, right? Yeah, that's good. That's great. Thanks, Yahweh. And I do think, like V and Joe and Yahweh, thank you guys for sharing. And from their sharing, probably you guys can also find something like for Yahweh, when she shares what the things she's good at. She mentioned like other people thought she was a smart person, which means that this could be like two sides. The first side is what do we think we are good at, and the other thing is what other people think you are good at, and especially the people you work with, or the people you are like your friend, your family members, and this could be like a different reflection of the qualities you have. And normally we find there are some a lot of things are crossover, but it's very interestingly we can find something we didn't see, but other people saw us, and this is we can pay more attention on that, because that could be your like the diamond in the rough that you didn't realize you have the competencies you have, but actually other people see that. So maybe it's worth to do more digging after that. Yeah, so things you are good at from other people's perspective. And also what I mentioned is that we can retrace to a few years ago, like when you are young. That's right. Yeah, so probably we'll continue to the next to the next question, because this one will be, what do you love to do? So let's find another area in your notepad, or grab another piece of paper and starting to write this list. What the things you love to do? What do you love? And as a tip, so the things you love, how to measure it? It's quite easy. If you don't get paid for doing that, would you rather to do that again? Would you rather to do that? For example, some of you guys said, I love painting. I love drawing. Okay, so if you don't get any money for it, it's just your hobby. Would you rather to still keep doing that? If it is, that's the things you love, right? Okay, so let's take because time is running rush. So let's take 2 minutes. Okay, let's take 2 minutes to do this practice. I think you can make the list as long as possible. So just the things you love to do when you are a child is fine, and also the things you would like to do in the future is also could be add to this list. But I think we can still focus on the things we love to do now at the first stage. Just map them out, list them out first, and then we can retrace to the things you love to do when you're a kid, when you're young, and also the thing you want to do in the future, but love to do in the future. But it's kind of like really hard to define the things you love to do, but you haven't done that, so you don't know for sure. So I suggest we can still just write the things that I love to do now and when I was a kid. That's two categories. Cool. Let's start now. 2 minutes. And one tip, if you find it's hard to find the things you love, maybe you can also write down the things you hate and make the contrary options. It could also work. Okay, time is up. Because during the workshop, probably you find time is not enough to make the whole list, but that's all right, because that could be the starting point, and we can always make your list later. So let's probably we'll just take 1 or 2 volunteers to share, or what's the things you love. Who's going to share? Hi, Tina, right? Yeah, sure. Just go ahead. Right. No. That's totally all right. Because Tina, I think that's really a brave behavior to talk in English like a second language. Because I can totally understand and totally have the same feeling. But I do find it's especially to speak publicly. So that's a great move. Thanks. And I really like what you shared, that you love teaching and you started to teach your little sister when you are young, and now you're a teacher. That's a great. I mean, this feels like perfect ending for a video game, right? So that's great. But there, even if you find like the career, the passion, like the role you are doing is the one you love, still there will be some gap you can feel, like how to share your knowledge to more people, not just a few students in the classroom. And also like what could be another opportunity, like you can go to Japan and teach in a Confucius school with more international student, not just a local student. I can totally understand. So that's a great sharing. Thanks. Thank you. For the time is not enough for everyone to share. Probably we can move on to the next 2 questions, because we still got 2, and then we need to map them out. So if you guys have anything to share, we can use the Q&A session later to walk through it. Is that all right for everyone? Are we all good? Okay, cool. Thanks. Let's move on. So this 2-1, the things I love to do, the things I love, the things I'm good at. It's more in the ideal situation or more not related to like the real world, right? But the next question will be to the real world. So what you can be paid for is the next question. I'll just write it down and put it in front of the camera. So what you can be paid for. So this is a very realistic question. Maybe your wife or husband will ask you, your parents will ask you, and what can you do to actually get paid? So, for example, I love podcasting. So a lot of people listen to my podcast, but I do it for free because I didn't get any money from doing that. But I love to do that, so I'm happy to do that. But how can I get paid at this stage? Actually, I'm just as a designer, so I can get paid for doing design for customers, for clients. Yeah, in-house work in a company, and probably I can also get paid for doing some like video editing, or I used to teach in university, so I can get paid for teaching. So just write down what the ways you get paid for, and if you aim to get paid in some ways which you are not able to do that at this stage, for example, you're still a student, but you will in the future, you can also write it down too. So yeah, I would like to get paid by doing so and so. Yeah, just write it down. Okay. Again, we take 2 minutes for doing that. I think that could be quite good to draw back our attention to the reality, right? Yeah. Cool. Starting now. Cool. Yeah, sure. Yeah, you can include in that category. But I suggest you can write it in another place of your paper, because it's something you haven't done yet. But like the entertaining industry, like to be a singer is already confirmed, like it is a career, right? So it's just you are not there yet, so don't be afraid to write it down, because it could be it was already confirmed can make some money if you are a professional singer, right? So just write it down, but not with the things you're doing right now. Just write it down in somewhere else, and later we can analyze it, right? Cool, guys. We got 30 seconds, right? So while you are doing that, I found the previous question from Johnny, right? From Johnny is quite interesting, because if you aim to get paid in some ways, you are not doing that at this stage, but you will do in the future. You can write it down. This is something actually I'm thinking I will do, like to get paid by facilitating workshops. I think that could be something can really provide value for people, but at this stage, I'm not ready to do that as a professional or as a full-time workshop facilitator. But I can write it down, like in the future state, I can by organizing, facilitating these types of the workshop to get some money, right? Okay, so time is up. Right, let me invite, can we have one volunteer to share what you can get paid for? Is there anyone who would like to share? It sounds like really private, right? So what can you get paid for? Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Chow. Yep, right. Thanks for sharing, Chow. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Right, so for this one, like what I said, normally it's the things we consider to transit your career to a new path, or when you are going to select a career in the very beginning, you might always think about this question, like how much money I can get for doing this. And I believe that a lot of people, when you are in college, you would like to choose your first job, or even before, when you are going to choose your major subject in your field, in your major subject in university, your parent will suggest you to do something like that. For example, like a lot of immigrant parents will ask their kids to choose like lawyer, doctor, like these types of the career will be always the first options. So they can earn more money, right? So this part is about what you can get paid for. So the deeper question is about what's the value, like how much more money you can get paid if you're doing this, like what's the next step. But I don't go further here in this workshop because we only got 90 minutes and seems I almost use most of them. But you can do some personal research later. Like, for example, if Johnny, you mentioned that I would like to get paid for singing. It's great. It's really great. But what's the specific income as a singer on the average in your area? And what's the career could be happen like on the average state? What's the next step? And what's the hourly rate or things like that? And what's the most the top performers, how much they can get from singing? So do some research after that. But at this stage, we just make the list. And the next question, let's move on to the next question. So this one is also quite interesting. And normally we would like to do some discussion during the workshop, but this is an online workshop, so it's a little bit tricky. So this question is about what the world needs. So this question is quite hard to describe because, normally we don't consider often from an individual perspective, because normally when we're going to choose the career, it's always based on how much money I can get paid for, okay? And do I love it, or do I don't like it, but it's okay? And also, am I good at it? All right, so that's all. But this question, what's the world needs? It's about the trends. It's about the future of the world. Let me give you one example. Like after post COVID-19 or during the COVID-19, a lot of things are happening. And just yesterday, I did a one-on-one meeting with my CEO, Les Mills Media. So he, as a senior manager in the business, and I asked him exactly this question because I think that could be quite useful for this workshop, right? So I can use it as the insights from senior manager about the world trends. So he mentioned that at this stage, the world, a lot of countries just try to move the core industries back to their country. Before that, a lot of countries just use China as the manufacturing base to produce all kinds of the products they need. But during this COVID things, they find that like the healthcare equipments, or other critical things, critical industries, they would like to move them back to their own country. So probably there will be a time that for China, especially, maybe outsourcing and manufacturing will be impacted after the COVID-19. And from the personal point of view, maybe we can find like remote work remotely, and other things could be the trends. So probably I just asked you to start to make this list as a starting point in this workshop, but do some research. And also maybe later we can connect with some like email newsletter or other things. We can discuss this, like what's the world needs, because that's a critical things to consider. Like if the world need this, but you can only provide this as a service or as a product, probably that could really help you to improve your career. Like I think at this stage you can start to write the list. I take 1 minute, but I do want to share what Tina just shared with us. Like Tina, you're a teacher, right? A great career, and you mentioned that at this stage you find the gap from your current role is that it's hard to teach. You really want to teach as many people as you can, but in your local school you can only teach a few students. So actually this is the trends in the future. Like the education trends is starting to change in many countries starting now. Like take online education serious rather than the at school educating. So this is something we can really find out and take the advantage of it, right? Like the world trends. Remote education, probably that could be something you can do. Okay, right, so let's jump to the next one. So this time is another. So we all have the full question, have the answers for these 4 questions now, right? Like you have different papers, different lists, right? And the best way will be write it down in 4 columns, like in 4 rows. And the first one, like what the things I'm good at, what the things I love, and what's the things what I can get paid for, and what's the world needs. And now there will be a really interesting practice is to connecting the dots. How to do that? I'll just make you a quick example. Yeah, sorry about that, because before that I just prepared a really fancy slide, but because my computer crashed, so I can only do that like a old-fashioned way, right? So for example, like good, love, paid, trends. I'll just write these quick things. It's what our human is really good at. One thing I'm really good at, we are doing much better than computer, is to connect the dots. How to do that? For example, let's take Tina, for example, if you don't mind, Tina. Okay, so you are good at teach, right? And you love teaching and sharing. I believe you might have different things you love. For example, what specific subject do you teach, Tina? Physics. Wow, that's really cool, because I'm a physics student when I was in university, but I'm a terrible one. So, wow, physics, right? Is there any other subject you love, like you would like to share with other people? Career planning. Yeah, right? Okay, give one more. Is there any other things you love? Okay, that's enough. That's totally all right. So like career planning, physics, okay, this is the things you love. And you can get paid right now by teaching class at school, right? Teaching class in local school. I just write it down. And the trend is online. The trend for the current world is online. Sorry, do you prefer to get impact for more people as many people as you like, or you prefer one-on-one teaching, like good at? Yeah, just good at. Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, that's great. So probably let's just try to connect the dots as an example as Tina. So Tina loves teach, and Tina loves physics and career planning, and also you are good at one-on-one, like individual one-on-one teaching. Actually, it's more like a coaching. You give specific advice about what the subject they would like to do, some feedback, personalized feedback, things like that, and you can get paid. And now you get paid by teaching class at local school, and as the world trends, so online teaching could be a trend, and work and study remotely. So online teaching, everything goes online is already a trend, and also work and study remotely. Like currently, a lot of people work from home, no matter which country it is. Computer science, yeah, okay, computer science, right, cool. So it's like now currently, probably you are just teaching physics in local school. And if you can connect the dots, like I love teaching, and also I love career planning, like give your student advice about their career. And now you only get paid for teaching in local school, and the salary could be like on the average. But if consider the trends, work remotely, study remotely, it's an option. And how about what if? Now we can always starting to ask this question. What if? I mean, Tina, what if you can, as a career coach, same as Chow, like career coach, to provide an online one-on-one coaching to some student, maybe not just in local school, but all over the world, like in different countries, to give them some suggestions, some advice about their career or about the things you would like to do. Like you probably can also be a mentor for different students to give them advice. Does that sound exciting? Does that sound interesting? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So how about you can teach online? Right. Yeah. 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 That's right. I think that could be good because what I mean, Ikigai is not the things you are starting to do that right now, but you can have a direction, right? If the things you think could make you really excited about doing that, even you are not there yet, but you can put it as a goal. But if you don't feel like I'm excited about, maybe not teach things here, international students, give them career suggestion, maybe not. But you do mention that you would like to go to Confucius School in Japan, like to explore some different culture and some different possibilities. You can speak Japanese? Yeah, that's great. That's a really great skill. So maybe could be like, how about you can teach or teach things like physics or other things or Chinese or other things online for Japanese student with your Japanese skill. Yeah, things like that. I think that's because that is a quick example. We didn't made it up, right? So we just according to what you told us and trying to connect the dots. So at this stage, for this practice, I would like you guys to do that after this workshop, right? Okay, so starting to connect those dots. And if you can connect some dots, you will get a few options. It's not immediately become your ikigai. It's not immediately become your future direction, your passion, but you can start to map out some possibilities. And when there are opportunities, you can start to say, okay, I can do that. For example, if you're a student and you find your passion is about to work with some startups or with some innovation, like a more creative agency, because you find your passion and the things you're good at is about that. And later when your professor, when your teacher asks you to do some research, and he or she as a teacher assigned you to do a research about local big companies, right? He asks you to do research about some local big companies, but at that time you can ask, can I do a research on local creative agencies? Because I do find I'm interested about how they work. So I prefer to do that rather than to do some big corporation research. So this is something that you can design your own career. You can make it like before that they're all hiding in the background. So all the information just hiding at the back of the background. But if you can request it, if you make it clear, make some connections, like connect these dots, and then you can started to think some possibilities to do that. Yeah, so this is something we can really set our mind free to do that. Right, so for the time is not enough for do this practice, I would like to do this one after the workshop. So how about Ikigai mapping? So Ikigai mapping is a really fancy circle. It's about to draw the things you love. It's about to draw all the things you love here as the top, and the things you are good at, the things you get paid, and the trends of the world, like what the world needs, and try to find a connection in the middle of this area. If you can find some connection, and then you can start to do some research about that. Okay, right. So this one I also would like to do that after this workshop, and yeah, that's the Ikigai map, and later I can share you the slides for this workshop. And the practice is only to start as a beginning for this workshop to map out what you are good at, what you love, and also what you can get paid off, and the world's need. And finally, you can write a statement like, so one of the things that I can combine with all these things, right? So I would like to share a quick story of my personal story. So to make it as an example, how to find your Ikigai. I used to be a designer since 2005. At that time, I was a print and package designer for some printing agencies and different companies, and then start to work in-house in a local corporation, which I didn't quite like about. And then in 2009, I started to start my own business, but failed at first. And then 2010, I started again to try to do a design company, but this time I started to focus on digital design, like web design and app product design. And because of the world trends at that time, it's really on our side. So we really got some great projects to do. And also during that time, I started to reshape my skill as a designer. And also I love to share things with other people. So I'm also good at writing, I think. Yeah. And I love technology. So at 2012, I started to do a podcast, podcasting. So which is something that you can combine with, I'm good at writing, and I love to share, and technology, all the things together. But to do that is not get any money for doing that, right? So it's just something I would like to do. But by doing that I really broaden my my comfort zone and knowledge gap. So it was great. And recently I find as a designer, I would like to upskill my design skill set. But also I find a lot of designer just worked in-house, just limited by their job description. But I don't want to do that. I would like to learn a lot from real projects and then try to use my skill like writing or podcasting to share those experience, those story to other designers. And I really would like to improve my English as a second language. So that's one of my Ikigai in the center of my career path. So which means that I can share some design experience to other people. And yeah, so it's one of the career path you might find during this practice. But for you guys, I believe that the things, the list you're writing down, like these 4 questions and the final graph, if you can really map them out, it's really helpful for us to find out. Right. So yeah, we do have some technology issues to delay the whole process. And next one, as a recap, I would like to ask you, after this workshop, do some review of this list as a first step. Do some review. And as a second step, do some research. Like if you already find your Ikigai in the middle, that's great. But do some research about the top performers, who's doing that for living and who's really good at it. Like find some examples, like top 3 performers in that era, find them and do some research about how they are living by doing that. For example, like Tina, you want to be a coach, probably you can ask Chow like how she's doing by coaching for living, things like that. Yeah, this is one types of the research you can do. And then reach out, maybe just ask them or check their stories, check their articles, check their interviews, anything. If these people are living in other countries, you can also check their Twitter, check their Facebook, LinkedIn, to find out. That's one thing I did during my research. I do think that will be helpful for you guys. Yeah, so that's all for the whole workshop. And sorry about the technology problem. And later I will share the slides to you guys. And now and there will be like a feedback about this workshop. So please be honest about what the things you think could be better next time. You can write me in the survey of this workshop. Right. So let's take, because we're already late for a few minutes. Let's take. Are you guys okay to take 10 minutes as a QA session? If you have any questions, you can ask. Is that all right? Because now it's supposed to be end, but we can take another 10 minutes. Is that okay? Yeah, that will be great. So let's take a QA session from now. And sometimes it's not the question. If you have other questions about other participants, other guys here, just ask. Just raise your hand and ask. That's totally fine. Okay. Right. So are there any questions? Yeah, sure. Right. Oh, right. That's a great question, because like what I mentioned, to be honest, I still try to find things out at this stage too, as you guys. So for me, I still need to stick on the previous questions and update them because the world changed, and probably our career in different countries. For example, like me in New Zealand, a lot of companies, a lot of industry are impacted by COVID-19, and there are some good impact, like the work remotely lifestyle was really accelerated. So for me, to be honest, I would like to do product or service designer, as the designer is still in the focus of my area, but I would like to share the knowledge, the skill, the experience to as many people as I can. So probably as a YouTube designer could be one of the path I would like to put in the nearly center of my Ikigai map. But I have to confess it's not easy. And also like it could change for a little bit. But I do find if you can find the core of the things you love and good at, yeah, it's just some slight change. It's not that big. It's not that matter. For example, like for me, design is at the center of my four circles. So no matter I doing UX design, and now probably it's quite a demand in different countries, but later could be like experience designer. And if I'm able, like I'm prepared enough, like I'm skilled enough to share with other people, maybe I'll write a design book in English. I don't know. It's just put it on the wall, and maybe you can achieve that in 5 or 10 years. Not now, right? So, but you can have a long list. And yeah, I do agree that you cannot do that in just 2 or 3 minutes, like during this workshop. We need to take more time and take some time to review. And my suggestion is to take like an afternoon or an evening without any interruption. Just sit down by yourself and put a piece of paper and start to write a list. And after 1 or 2 weeks, review it like add or remove something. And if you are happy, you can ask other people's opinion. Like during this workshop, I mentioned that you can ask what other people think you are good at, especially the people you are working with for a long time. They probably know you better than yourself, and in some area that could be quite helpful. Right? Is that answer your question? Right. Cool. Sure. That's awesome. Thanks, Xiao. That's really insightful. Right. Cool. Are there anything anyone would like to raise? Is there any questions or yeah? Yeah. Right. Cool. Yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah, Johnny, that's a great question. Probably I don't have too much time to go to the details about this question, but I just share with with my personal story. Like last year, I also been jobless for 5 months, and my previous role is focused on marketing, which I don't like, but it do have some future if I can continue that career path. And then as a 38-year-old man with a family, also with a kid to take care, jobless for 5 months is really not an easy experience. And also at last, I found a job without local experience, local working experience, without certification. I think it's more about, one thing is about mindset. It's about to take some some strategy, and also always stick on the positive thing. Because when you describe your question, there are a lot of no, I can't, I don't think, things like that. And I think that could be some limit from your mindset. Like you don't believe that you can do that. I suggest you can
do some research online to search some similar example what other people's doing. Because for me, at that time, I literally find an article about a designer transit from graphic designer, I think, or from marketing or some other area in his 40 to become a UX designer. And it is really inspired me, so motivated me at that moment. And I totally understand you have family and all the things to take care. I suggest you take some strategy, like plan what's the bottom line. Okay, how much money, what's the financial plan for all the things. And when the things necessary, do some necessary step. Because another thing, like a local Auckland product designer, he's very young. I talked to him in person when he graduated from Wellington Victoria University, which is a great university, but he don't have local experience and he couldn't find a job. And after 5 months or 6 months, he started to do a Google search about all the design agencies here in Auckland and Wellington. And he just go to those agency companies one by one, like literally knock their door and ask who's the design manager. Can I talk to him? I would like to apply to a design role. So he's doing some really bold move. And sometimes I think that could be like also a mindset. We can discuss this type of things in maybe if you guys are interested, I can do some like career strategy or things workshop similar as this. But I think everything will be fine. And do some personal research about the things you're good at, the strength. And if you work for, like you mentioned, supply chain, right? Supply chain for such a long time, can any skill or anything transit from your previous role? You can make them believable for your potential employers. They can actually know what you are capable of. And that could be something, need to plan carefully. But everything is possible, so don't worry about that. And also at the first stage, maybe do some compromise about your hobby, because I did exactly the same. During my job searching period, I stopped recording podcast for a long time, even though I know that I'm not quite happy about stopping to do that, but I have to, because you have to prioritize your problem. So yeah, but it's just tell yourself it's just temporary, and after that, when everything get back to normal, it's something you can continue to do that again. But just priority your the things you're going to do. The prioritization is super important in this period. Okay, is that no worries. Right, we just got time, maybe one more question, if there's any question. Sure. Hi, right? Okay, that's a great question. Also, this part before that, I plan to do an online brainstorming. Like everyone can grab a sticky note virtually, like in the online tool, so we can take her things, and you might be inspired by other people, and finally we can get a lot of information. For example, like some people working in technology companies, they know that the world next stage will be IoT, right? Maybe Internet of Things could be the things. Here we can take a sticky note. And if someone is working for like health in industry, and of course health is a big trends in the future, because after this, everyone realized health is super important and things like that. But because of the technology issue, we don't have the chance to do that. And I personally suggest that we can do it also individually. Like you can start to do some online searching, trends, and what's the strategy after COVID-19, or there will be some articles in some like media, during different media, there will be a lot of related articles or interviews, and probably that could be give us some insights. And if you live in China, do some like Chinese searching, but also suggest to do some English searching to find what outside the world, outside China, is there anything, what's the trends are happening. That could be something really, really great to find out, and then start mapping things related to your specific area or the things you are familiar with. And after that, if possible, talk to other people. Yeah, that's probably the quickest way to get insights, and talk to the people working from different background or even from different countries. So you can get as much as information from different people. If you only talk to the people working the same company with the same background, maybe could be more like the answer or the insight could be quite similar, right? So yeah. And I'm also thinking maybe if guys are interested, we can share this part, like the word trends or the words need, what the word needs, like as a email format or other things. I'm still thinking what's the right way to share or to interact with everyone, but that could be as a starting point, because other questions are just focused on our individually, but this question is more like we need to understand from other people, right? Cool. Does it make sense? Yeah, no worries. Cool. Thank you guys. I think that's all, and thank you guys for this 2 hours commitment. I really appreciate your time and your understanding. For the later part, we just jumped to a lo-fi technology solution, which is something I'm not familiar with, but that's good, and it's always good to test new things. And I hope you guys enjoying this. And by the way, if you would like to connect, you can always find me on LinkedIn. So search Bear Liu on LinkedIn, so you can find me. And if you already get the email from Eventbrite as this workshop email, which means you already registered correctly. Your email was already registered correctly. So later I will share the slides for this workshop, and also please give me a few minutes to fill the survey as a feedback of this workshop. So which means I can improve that later. And sorry for some participants, because the survey I generated are in Google Docs, which means you might use VPN to check. But if you can't do that, just reply me an email. That's also quite helpful. Yeah, right. So thank you guys, and I really enjoyed it. If you have any questions, just give me a shout. Yeah, hope you enjoy you. Thank you guys. Yeah. Yeah, have a great evening, afternoon, or morning. Right. Cool. Thank you. Wow. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, great commitment. If you go to New Zealand soon, I will buy you a lunch. Right. Yeah, definitely. Wow. So everyone from different countries. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. What's the time in Canada? Yeah. Yeah. What do you guys think the best way to keep connect? Is there any
options you would like to do? Yeah, okay. Yeah, WeChat. Yeah, okay, we can. Yeah. Okay, probably later I will include that in the email. Later I will send you guys the email and I will include that as an option. So if you feel okay, yes, just click yes, and later when we figure out what the best way to keep connect, we can start a group no matter what types of the tools we're going to use. But yeah, that will be great. Thanks.